What the hell do you have to lose? Give me a chance. I'll straighten it out.
Well, President Donald Trump begged for a chance for black folks. That's what he kept saying, actually, when he kept making those statements. He wasn't talking to black folks. It was always rallies full of white folks because President Donald Trump really would not do any rallies or sit-down interviews with anybody in black media. I wonder why. Well, tomorrow he's going to sit down with the Congressional Black Caucus, its 49 members, to talk about issues of concern to African Americans. Of course, remember, he had the news conference back in February where he got asked by April Ryan of American Urban Radio Networks about meeting with the CBC, and this happened.
Are you going to include the CBC, Mr. President, in your conversations with your urban agenda, your inner city agenda, as well as...
Am I going to include...
Are you going to include the Congressional Black Caucus and the Congressional Hispanic
Well, I would.
Caucus,
I tell you what. Do you want to set up the meeting? Do you want to set up the meeting?
No, no, no.
Are they friends of yours?
I'm just a reporter.
No, set up the meeting.
I know some of them, but I'm sure
Let's go set up a meeting. I would love to meet with the Black Caucus. I think it's great, the Congressional Black Caucus. I think it's great.
Well, I don't think April set that meeting up. Joining us right now is Congressman Cedric Richmond, chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. So, Congressman, did April set that up?
No, she didn't. You know, I didn't see the coverage until after I received a call from the White House saying, would you meet with the president? And then when I went back, and I was actually speaking at Morehouse, and when I went back and looked at it, I said, this is just sad. And this is the President of the United States. You take a remarkable reporter, and because she's black, you just assume that, one, we're friends with the caucus, and two, that she has some responsibility to set it up. But it was done in a more appropriate fashion, so we decided to take the meeting. We still have 78 million people that we represent.
And in fact, in January at the swearing in of the CBC members, I asked you about meeting with President Trump. So let's talk about what is going to be your focus, the agenda when you walk into that meeting.
Well, we're taking it as a business meeting, and I will just tell you that as chair of the Congressional Black Caucus since 1971, we've been the conscience of the Congress. We think we have a couple of things we have to do with this president, one of which is to educate him on the black experience. We think that his lack of diversity in his cabinet is doing him a disservice. Second, you have Ben Carson at HUD, who is just really unqualified for the position, and then you're talking about an education secretary. So when you start talking about the African-American experience, we're the subject matter experts, from crime prevention on to education to urban development. So we're going to give him the benefit of our knowledge.
All throughout the campaign, we heard him talk about these issues, but he was doing it in front of rallies full of white folks. I mean, so he rarely ever, about the only time he actually sat down with black folks, they had that, I don't know what you want to call that thing in Detroit at the church there, where it was really more smoke and mirrors, because if you actually pull those cameras back, there were not that many people who were there. That was something that at Pastor Darrell Scott Church in the Cleveland area, but that was it. So President Donald Trump did not engage black folks at all. In fact, he kept even insulting black folks after the election by thanking black folks for not voting.
Well, there's a rough relationship, and it's a challenged relationship, but we still have a job to do, and part of what...
But he did meet with Ray Lewis, Jim Brown, and Steve Harvey.
Who will be the first policymakers, besides Elijah Cummings, one of our members, to meet with him. So we're going to go in and look. I don't think it's going to be a warm and fuzzy meeting. It's certainly not going to be a photo op. And we saw what happened with the HBCU presidents who went in and they had a photo op, and then he released his budget. It's the same level as last year, and then he goes and he harms Pell Grants, TRIO programs, Gear Up, and other things that would help HBCUs and minority students.
Speaking, you said no photo op. Are you going to tell the White House no cameras in the room?
They can do a spray. If they want to take pictures of us having a discussion, that's fine. But if you're talking about a posed picture, standing up, skinning and grinning, that's not going to happen.
Voter suppression obviously is a critical issue. He has said nothing about that. When you look at, he appointed Jeff Sessions as his Attorney General. He already is pulling back from the voter ID case in Texas in terms of targeting them. Also, this president still to this day has not apologized to America for his birther lie dealing with President Barack Obama. Are those two items also going to be put on the table?
Those two, and as well as you're talking about real criminal justice reform, His law and order movement is not a movement that will make communities safer. It would just add to mass incarceration, which every dollar we spend now on incarceration makes the country less safe. But he also called the president a bad, sick guy based on really a baseless claim about wiretapping. You still have the Central Park 5. I think that some of those things, we have to represent the African-American community and tell the president how we feel, because we know that's how our constituents feel, and we would be doing a disservice to both him and to us if we don't have an honest conversation with them.
Bringing our panel right now to my far left, Raynard Jackson, GOP strategist, Avis Jones-DeWeaver, leadership strategist and author, How Exceptional Black Women Lead, Wilmer Leon III, Sirius XM radio host, author of Politics, Another Perspective. What should be on this agenda tomorrow? Raynard, start with you.
Well, I think the number one agenda item should be entrepreneurship relative to the black community. Under the past 8 years, we've been devastated, and there needs to be policies formulated to deal with the issue, lowering or getting rid of the capital gains tax, this whole issue of federal procurement from these federal agencies. None of these agencies meet their numbers, and if you help these black entrepreneurs grow their business base, all these other pathologies from education to crime will begin to take care of themselves.
Avis?
You know, there's a rare point of agreement. I do believe that's important, but I think it's also important to push why then is the Minority Business Development Agency zeroed out in his budget. So that would be a clear line to draw.
Obama got rid of the 5 regional offices under his term.
But it's there, hello? And it's not going to be there under this budget. Another, obviously, issue is this issue of education. Why, once again, do we have a completely unqualified person, and what are we going to do to actually protect and expand and improve the quality of public education in this country? What are we going to do to sort of shrink the wealth gap that we see in terms of increasing black home ownership? I mean, there's so many issues that are on the table. This is a critical time. Obviously, the criminal justice issue, it's hard to even narrow it down to one.
Your agenda that you've articulated is great. Are you going to put out a press release or have a press conference as a caucus so that your constituents understand what you all are actually going in to do, and more importantly, have a press conference afterwards to kind of rally the troops to let us know exactly what was discussed and what it is that you need the community to do to drive the issues?
Well, we're going to do a little bit of all of that. And you talk about home ownership. One of his first executive actions was something that put home ownership just that much more out of reach for African Americans and people striving to be homeowners. One of the things, and I didn't mention it earlier, but you're absolutely right, we're going to give the president document number 3 from us, and this will probably be a 50 to 60-page policy document that will go from A to Z in terms of things in the African American community, from home ownership all the way through education and other things, to give him the benefit of our expertise. We will also include in there legislation that if he wanted to, you know, that what do you have to lose? We're going to show you what we have to lose, but we'll show you what we have to gain also. And if you want to help us, we will show you legislation that you can buy into, like the Youth Promise Act or others, that would help the African American community, but it's been held up by a Republican Congress for the last couple of years. So we will actually get that to the president. We're going to get that to the press and make it available for everyone to know that this was a business meeting.
And I'm sure criminal justice reform is also going to be on the agenda as well.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, then. Congressman Cedric Richmond, appreciate that.
A peaceful protest turned deadly. 37-year-old black man was shot and killed by Baton Rouge police. His hands are in the air, and you still get shot by the cops.
Oh my God, please don't tell me he's dead.
We're not gonna let hate define us.
Race is a big part of this.
If truly all lives matter, then all lives need to matter equally.
What we require is action. What we require is accountability. We understand that black lives do matter, and we will keep focused on this issue.
NewsOne Now, every weekday morning at 7 on TV1.